Hi everyone, this is Isaac from IlluminatiWatcher.com. Today we're going to talk about the untimely passing of the artist known as Prince. Most of you have already heard several of the conspiracy theories circulating the internet about how he was an Illuminati blood sacrifice, and we're going to take a look at that, plus a few other oddities that this man has had throughout his career. First off, let it be known, I'm a huge Prince fan. Of course, I'm like most people, in the 80s and 90s, he was the man. Then after that, I couldn't really get into his music. Most of you are familiar with his popular songs, Little Red Corvette, You Got the Look, Purple Rain, obviously, great album. But he also contributed to many other artists. There's a lot of great songs that he wrote, like Vanity 6, Nasty Girl, Sinead O'Connor, Nothing Compares to You, Bangles, Manic Monday, the list goes on and on. The guy was a cornerstone of music and pop music in particular. But one thing I want to consider is that this guy, over the course of his career, seemed to show us that he played both sides of the line. He seemed to know about this Illuminati agenda. And I was torn between whether he was trying to expose it or kind of prolong it. And we'll take a look at some of the things, and then you can be the judge, see what you think. I mean, right off the bat, the guy was only 57, and he looked like he was in decent health. It wasn't quite the same as Michael Jackson. I mean, Michael Jackson, we all knew he was sick for a long time before he passed, but Prince, maybe not. I don't know. Let's take a look. So one idea to consider about Prince is that he always used the symbolism of the pineal gland or third eye. Now this is, in Eastern occultism, this is a valuable symbol that they use. It represents awakening or enlightening, opening up your pineal gland. It goes into the history of the occult or the Illuminati. They believe that mankind's pineal gland used to be more pronounced, and then over time, as we evolved, it went inwards into the mind. It's some deep stuff, but anyways, when you see the symbol of the third eye or the pineal gland, that shows that they are aware of this concept. And right before Prince's death, his Twitter page changed the main image and showed his third eye being opened. Does that mean he is the ascended master, a concept in theosophy, talking about awakening and enlightenment? Another idea to consider is the transhumanism, transgender marketing. Most of you are familiar with Prince from 1993 when he changed his name to The Symbol. And this was a way of him rebelling against the record label that owned him, Warner Brothers. When he asked in an interview, he said that Warner Brothers took his name, trademarked it, and used him as a tool for marketing, and he was a pawn for them to make them money, claiming the Warner Brothers is the Illuminati. He even protested and wrote the word slave on his face for a performance. And he was very outspoken against the music industry all the way up until his death. On YouTube, he pulled all his videos and was very adamant about protecting his musical creations. But let's take another look, one more layer deep. The symbol is a combination of the male and female symbols. This is a gender neutralization. If you take a look at some of these ideas, we can see that there's an LGBT movement that seeks to gain equal rights, equal representation, and all of that kind of stuff, which is great. However, you have to understand simultaneously in the background, the Illuminati are pushing the same kind of idea because they believe we were originally androgynous beings and we are going to return to this perfected state. And what that means is you must destroy the male-female dichotomy. This is the secret history of the occult. Symbolically speaking, it's the alchemical wedding and embracing the opposites. This is why the floors of the Masonic temples are black and white. It's the duality of man. You must merge the two opposites. You must harness your inner shadow. I believe, after researching this, that they want to destroy the male-female paradigm for a few reasons. And I'm not talking about the LGBT movement. That's totally separate. You have to understand there's a distinction between the two, but the lines get blurred, and that's done on purpose. So I believe that the occult push on this kind of idea is that they want to get rid of the male-female paradigm that was God's creation. They want to get rid of it and have us go into this digital matrix hell. And they're going to do this through transhumanism. And all this stuff is predictive programming that we've been watching in films and such. But we've seen recent celebrities like Bruce Jenner and Miley Cyrus coming out and claiming that they're either transgender or pansexual or whatever. But it's all a ruse, because Miley Cyrus, for years, all we heard about was the guys she was dating. Then all of a sudden, she wants to claim she's into women and she's pansexual because she wants to be the voice for the LGBT community, but that's for her own reasons, I believe. It's a selfish reason, and if I was a member of the LGBT community, I think I would be disgusted by that idea. But anyways, I don't want to get off topic. The point is, Prince used this duality symbol, the merging of the opposites of the male and female, potentially as an Illuminati occult symbol. He achieved the alchemical wedding of merging the opposites and achieved androgynous perfection. This is the symbol embodied by the Baphomet. In 2013, Prince performed at the Billboard Awards, and on it, we saw that he was wearing a ring with a giant eyeball on it. This is the symbol of the all-seeing eye. Again, it's esoteric knowledge that these secret societies bestow upon their initiates. Prince was very familiar with this, and he showed it several times on his album covers. Prince famously went on Tavis Smiley's show and proceeded to talk about chemtrails, the New World Order at the UN, and global manipulation. He said we are all indentured servants and slaves. Now, Prince is a Jehovah's Witness, which to some aspects, from what I gather, they believe in some of the Gnostic principles of the world, the physical world being a deception and a trap. So maybe that's where that came from. But he also talked about how chemtrails would affect him and the people around him. He noticed increased aggravation as the chemtrails filled the sky.
Oh, well, when I saw the State of the Black Union, Dick Gregory really moved me and a lot of my friends. I show it to everybody that comes over the house, especially white folks, because they need to hear that, you know, so that they know more about all of us. Mm-hmm. Because what he said affects all of us. He said something that really hit home about this phenomena of chemtrails. And, you know, when I was a kid, I used to see these trails in the sky all the time and say, oh, that's cool. A jet just went over. And then you started to see a whole bunch of them. And the next thing you know, everybody in your neighborhood was fighting and arguing and you didn't know why. Okay? And you really didn't know why. I mean, everybody was fighting. So he started riffing about the chemtrails. And he started to say things that hit home so hard. And I would recommend that everybody try to get what he said online or wherever and try to get a copy of it and just listen to it. Mm-hmm. Because I was so moved that I had to write the song. The other thing is the first line of the song says I was born on the same plantation in the United States of the red, white, and blue. And we live in a place now that feels just about like a plantation. We're all indentured servants. You know, when I found out there were 8 presidents before George Washington, I wanted to smack somebody. Mm-hmm. You know, I wanted to know why I was taught otherwise. Just tell me the whole story. I'll fill in the blanks. But don't, you know, don't tell me something that you think I'm supposed to know.
We're indentured servants and we got a black president now?
Well, I don't vote. I have nothing to do with it. I got no dog in that race.
And for those who would cuss me out and slap me in person if I didn't ask you why?
Well, the reason why is because I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses and we've never voted. And that's not to say that I don't think President Obama is a very smart individual, and he seems like he means well. Prophecy is what we all have to go by now. It's very interesting. I did a sold-out concert in London. We played 21 nights in a row, and all the concerts were sold out. When I would watch television over there, and you'd see the United Nations feed, the direct feed from the United Nations, you'd hear them talk a lot about religion. You'd hear the Bible mentioned constantly. This is not what we're used to in the United States. It's almost as though there's no need for God and no need for religion and justice in politics. So there's supposed to be a separation of church and state over here. We can't have a separation of state and morality, though. And, you know, songs like Dreamer and even Feel Good, it's the same thing.
You can find this video clip on YouTube, but he also talks some interesting facts and history about the U.S. and how the first president of the United States was not George Washington. It was John Hanson. And that was, of course, all before the Constitution was enacted, but still, the fact remains, they don't teach that kind of stuff in public school. Well, they might teach it, but it's not emphasized, and I surely didn't know about it when I first heard Prince talking about it. Let's take a look at the day in which Prince died, April 21st. This is within the Illuminati blood sacrifice holiday time period known as Beltane. Beltane is on May 1st, and the 13 days leading up to it are days of blood sacrifice. Now, the idea of Beltane comes from the idea of Baal-tane, and Baal is similar to the deity known as Moloch. So when you hear the name Baal, you think of the bonfires that they set for Beltane, and these are Baal fires. And what it is, it's the sacrifice of a human in fire to Baal or Moloch. In fact, just this year, just recently, I made a video about the Temple of Baal, Drake, and Beltane, and how New York and London were trying to resurrect the Temple of Baal, and they wanted to unveil it right at the beginning of the sacrifice period, leading up to May 1st. Now, they've since changed plans on that, but the fact remains that within that time period, that is highly significant for the Illuminati because they can harness great energy by performing blood sacrifices. Some claim that the British Royal House of Windsor lights a Beltane fire every single year to honor the May 1st celebration. And what's odd is that Queen Elizabeth's birthday is precisely on April 21st, the day Prince passed away. Okay, so in my hip-hop conspiracy book, I had a whole section devoted to alter egos and channeling spirits and entities. And in it, I talked about some of the more familiar hip-hop artists, Nicki Minaj and Eminem and the like, and they all have various multiple personalities, different names, different alter egos, and I suggest that that's done on purpose. But what most people don't realize, and I actually wrote about this in the book, was that Prince was the king of alter egos and aliases. You have to understand in ceremonial and ritual magic that there are magical laws of names, and it's very important for them to select a good name, and most rappers drop their government names and pick up an alias or alter ego, but they're not the first to do this, as is evident with Prince. Prince had the alter egos of Jamie Starr, Alexander Nevermind, Joey Coco, Paisley Park, the Purple One, the artist formerly known as Prince, and it goes on some more. We've seen the modern day artists pick this up, like Beyonce. She goes by Sasha Fierce, Beyonce, Beezus, and I detail all of that in the book. But the idea is there's different entities that take over the body of the artist, and they channel these deities sometimes in order to perform. We've heard this several times before. Beyonce has said it, Jay-Z has said it, and I believe Prince might be no different. When interviewed and asked about all of his alter egos, he said it had to do with destroying his ego, which is occult belief systems. We always see the destruction of the ego in various forms. We saw it in Jodorowsky's Holy Mountain film. And this is similar to Aleister Crowley in his talk about approaching Corone Zone, approaching the abyss. You must approach and destroy your own ego. Speaking of Aleister Crowley, Prince had a popular song called Baby I'm a Star. And most of you that are familiar with my work and the hip-hop book I wrote, Aleister Crowley's big message was that the Aeon of Horus was the new age. And in this new age, everyone can be a star. That's exactly what we're witnessing with the advent of reality television. People going on YouTube and trying to make crazy videos that go viral. So Aleister Crowley was easily 100 years ahead of his time when he said the Aeon of Horus will be a time where every man and every woman is a star. One of the oddest things about Prince was that he predicted 9/11. He was at a concert in the Netherlands in 1998, and he said that Osama bin Laden was going to drop the bomb in 2001.
Gotta go back to America. I gotta go get ready for the bomb. Osama bin Laden getting ready to bomb. Osama bin Laden getting ready to bomb. You better watch out. You're the one.
In conclusion, I believe that Prince is going to be treated like every other celebrity. When they pass away, they sell more records and merchandise, which ultimately puts money into the pockets of the handlers. I believe they're going to treat him just like they treated Michael Jackson when the vampires came in and scooped up his music catalog, which had all the Beatles songs in it after he passed away. Sony knew that they couldn't just take the catalog from him because his fans would boycott, so they waited for him to die, or allegedly blood sacrificed him in order to get their catalog back from him. Something else we should consider is that perhaps Prince is faking his own death. What's interesting is that I talked about this in Sacrifice Magic Behind the Mic, how Tupac possibly faked his own death, because Tupac channeled Machiavelli. Machiavelli was the guy, the philosopher, who talked about faking your own death in order to deceive your enemies. Machiavelli released a book posthumously called The Prince. So here we see a lot of similarities. It seems like it's almost in your face if you want to take a look at the evidence. Prince's final statement to his fans on the prior Saturday before his passing, he said, "Wait a few days before you waste any prayers." And his final Instagram, which apparently got removed before he died, or right after he died, excuse me, he wrote, "Just when you thought you were safe." So what is this? Is he trying to tell us that he knew he was going to get taken out, or is he telling us that he's faked his own death? What I find odd about this whole case is that many of the concepts I covered in the Hip Hop Conspiracy book are featured in Prince's story. In the book, I go further into the blood sacrifice theory, Michael Jackson, Tupac, Left Eye, Aaliyah, Notorious B.I.G. The list goes on and on. There's several artists who die very young in ways that are very strange. But when you know the Illuminati agenda and the occult symbolism, it's not so strange. Thanks for listening. Go to IlluminatiWatcher.com for more. Please check out Sacrifice Magic Behind the Mic. That whole book has the whole agenda revealed, and everything that we've been seeing is coming true from what I wrote 2 years ago. The music industry, particularly rap and R&B, have a lot of darkness within them. And becoming aware is the key and what is necessary in order to understand what's going on all around us. Don't live in fear, live in knowledge.